Well, hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us, for being here today. Once again, if you can hear us, please type it in the comments. Tell us what you can hear. If you're here for remote work opportunities, of course, type it in the comments and tell us remote work. That's the word of the day. Remote work. Let us know where you are watching. We want to know how to support you. We want to know your questions. So please let us know all the great opportunities that you have in your community. We love to be able to connect with you. I'm Laura Torres, and welcome to our Blue Star Careers webinars, where these are built to connect you with job opportunities, employer partners, and career pathways while sharing the latest resources and tools. Every Wednesday, you can meet us here, meet new partners. We are established partners, but of course, learn about how you can adapt these specific resources to your journey. We love to see you in the Blue Star Careers community in the neighborhood, so please join us. Today, I'm delighted that I'm joined by Teleperformance and our special guest, Len Price, a U.S. Army veteran and military program manager. Len supports military connected talent and helps candidates understand what it takes to succeed in remote and customer support career pathways, including how to navigate the hiring process, stand out in an interview, and grow long term, which we love that here in our community. So let's welcome Len, and thank you for watching, for being here. Again, please tell us what special remote friendly roles you can find that adapts to your military life, because that's what Len is going to is going to help us navigate that. So please post it in the comments. Len, are you ready to begin?
I am ready, Laura. Let's kick it off.
Let's kick it off. Thank you so much for watching. Well, I hope you got some of that energy from that starting theme and anthem here through our Blue Star Careers community. Please tell us what is the word of the day, which is remote work and friendly. Combine them together and tell us why you want to work from home. Post it in the comments. We love to be able to send you shout outs also towards the end, and follow up with you as well, so that we can really address your needs. But let me turn it over to our guest today. We're so delighted that he has taken time out of his busy schedule, because he travels a lot. He goes around the country supporting military hiring initiatives, and of course is a great partner at Teleperformance. Len, please welcome. Please tell us a little bit more about yourself. Make a short intro about what you love to do, what you did, who are you, and of course, why was this role that you have right now such a good fit after you left the Army?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me, Laura. Hello, everyone. I'm Len Price. I am the military recruitment manager slash military program manager, and I'm also the chair of our Veteran Employee Resource Group, which we call TP-VERG. And as mentioned before, I am retired Army with over 27 years of active duty service. Um, I'm passionate about connecting the military community with meaningful career opportunities across call centers, corporate environments, and professional roles in all industries. So I build high performing talent pipelines, design targeted recruiting strategies, and lead teams that attract, assess, and onboard exceptional candidates like yourself, including the transitioning service members and the active duty spouses. I also implement veteran and military spouse employment programs that she mentioned earlier, and that strengthen our onboarding, our development, engagement, and long-term retention. But my mission is to bring the leadership, the discipline, and the resilience of the military community into organizations where they can thrive. And outside of work, which takes a lot of my time, I'm energized by traveling, enjoying the outdoors, and spending quality time with my family, which keeps me grounded and connected uh, to what matters most in my life. And I'm also glad to share here today what makes Teleperformance such a great, strong, and inspiring place to grow, Laura.
Absolutely. We love it. And thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule once
My
again.
pleasure.
And also out of your hobbies, which
My hobbies.
I know that you have them and you have some quality life leading these incredible opportunities here at Teleperformance. And then, of course, we want to know all about the great activities that are going on and what future opportunities, but all of that, of course, just hold that thought there, Len, because I want to remind our community who's tuning in right now, we have on Facebook, we are on LinkedIn, then of course we are in our digital community. If you have a question about remote work, Len is your guide today. So let's make sure that you post it in the comments. Tell us what you need, how, what are you thinking? Without you, we cannot be able to have these intentional discussions. So these are very intentional for us to be able to provide you with the most realistic and also lead you into some great opportunities. So Len Price is a U.S. Army veteran and a military spouse program manager, military programs manager, I'm sorry, for Teleperformance. So Lynn, let's dive in into remote work. You are the expert in your community, and we want to know how remote readiness and all those non negotiables that you have seen from your current role. So, in your opinion, what are the most haves candidates should be ready for when they're looking for remote roles in today's 2026?
So you're saying the remote readiness and non-negotiables, right?
I think so. In most
Yeah,
of our military spouse
that
communities, like I must have remote work if I need to transition alongside my spouse,
well,
right?
right. So I guess when it comes to remote readiness, I'm going to touch on seven things. Okay.
Sure.
The first thing when it comes to remote readiness, I'm going to touch on a quiet private workspace with zero background noise. So the remote roles at Teleperformance, they require a dedicated distraction-free space where calls cannot be interrupted by people, by little pets, or household noises. And Teleperformance, we specifically expect a quiet workspace for productivity and customer privacy. And we also have webcam monitoring, which may also be used to ensure compliance in the workspace. But what surprises people is that some employees are surprised that TP can check your environment via a webcam and enforce these noise rules. And then the second thing I think you should be aware of is that you need a reliable, fast wired internet. So Teleperformance requires a wired Ethernet, not Wi-Fi. A minimum speed often depends on the line of business of 5 megabytes per second to download or 2 megabytes to upload. And that again, it depends on the account. And Wi-Fi is frequently prohibited. Cable, fiber are required, and DSL, satellite, and wireless broadband often do not qualify. And what I hear people ask me is that even if my Wi-Fi is fast, can I use it? No, you must still plug into an Ethernet, and your router must support multiple wired ports. And then number three is the strict schedule adherence. Many people don't realize how tightly schedules are tracked. Agents are expected to be logged in exactly on time, take breaks at designated times, and stay available during assigned hours. Because adherence itself is a formal performance metrics, okay? And what surprises people is that you can't just freely step away, even at home. Breaks and login times are monitored like physical call centers. Even though it's a work from home, they're still monitored. And then we have the confidentiality and privacy rules. So remote employees must follow strict privacy and data handling rules. And here at Teleperformance, our cloud campus models requires no shared devices and secure private handling of customer data. And what surprises people about that is that family members can't be in the room. They can't be walking around behind you during your calls. because of the confidentiality rules. And then the equipment requirements. Some line of businesses um, may allow you to bring your own device. And even if you bring your own device, still has to adhere to the requirements that they have set, which is Windows PC only and a certain amount of gigabyte, the processing speed. And what surprises people again is that even if it's BYOD, bring your own device, it still requires specific upgrades, and it must pass these equipment tests. And then you have the zero tolerance for unstable internet or power interruptions. And I get this when I travel. People ask this question a lot. Now, because of customer interactions depends on live systems, the internet must be stable. It must be uninterrupted. So Teleperformance, we may require upgrades if the speeds aren't sufficient. And what surprises people about this is that if your internet drops frequently, Teleperformance can remove you from the program or require a service upgrade. Okay. So, just a quick summary of what surprises remote candidates the most is the workspace must be extremely quiet and private. Wi-Fi isn't allowed, Ethernet only, and we may monitor your work area via webcam. Schedule adherence is tightly tracked, and some roles we will ship you a full workstation, and that's surprising to some people. And the last thing is that internet drops or background noise can lead to performance improvement or conversation um, improvement conversations, I should say, or discipline issues.
Got
And yeah,
That's a lot of great stuff. Thank you so much for sharing and putting it a really clear perspective. So it sounds like it with teleperformance, there's a lot of great structure. So you're very disciplined, you're structured, you really want to show up very intentional. This is not a flexible. So I mean, it is flexible, but it's not like
yes,
clock it now, do the laundry, go do this, walk the dog, come back later. You
right,
are in a very set schedule to deliver a performance
yes,
and deliver a customer assignment type of thing, and make sure that you are very intentional when it comes to applying and selecting the right role, which brings me to my next question. I'm curious about this in your experience now that you have had a great chance to get to know Teleperformance a lot better, especially for people who are thinking what remote work means still in 2026. What would you say is the reality, or what is the myth out there that is still kind of surface the our space when it comes to easy or remote work is fully flexible, which means you can do whatever you want to do all day, 24 hours, a day.
right. And before I touch on that, I just want the audience to know that I decided to do this absence of PowerPoint because I did 27 years in the military, and I just want to talk candid with you about what we offer here at Teleperformance and the expectations, right? So to answer that question, the myth. Uh, a myth is remote work. It means that I can work whenever I want. It's totally flexible and it's easier than office work, right? Yeah, that's what some people think. And many people picture remote jobs as a laid back type of setup, lounging on the couch, working in their PJs, taking breaks whenever, being able to run an errand here or there and multitask all day. However, in reality, remote work is often structured and more monitored than in office jobs, especially in the call center customer support roles like teleperformance. I'll mention 5 areas um, briefly. The first is that you must follow a strict schedule down to the minute. Here at Teleperformance measures schedule adherence as a formal performance metrics. Remote agents are expected to log in exactly on time, take breaks as assigned, and stay available during scheduled hours. And then number two is your workspace must be professional and private, not casual. Remote roles require a quiet, private, interruption free home office. Some roles even use webcams monitoring, as I mentioned before, to ensure compliance. And then number three is that here at TP, we require wired internet connections, no Wi Fi. Number four, background noise is unacceptable. Calls must be taken in total quiet environment. Kids, dogs, TVs, household activities can violate these policies. So privacy rules for customer data make background noise and interruption a serious issue. And then we have number five, we have the performance is closely monitored. So metrics like CSAT, AHT, and I believe FCR and adherence measures, it measures your work minute to minute. And so, although this is not unique to TP, to teleperformance, remote call center operations rely heavily on these metrics. So, remote doesn't mean relax, it means every action is basically trackable. And I know that's a lot that I said, but in simple terms, um, remote work gives you location freedom, not schedule freedom. And it demands more structure, more discipline, and more tech reliability than most people expect.
I love it, and I totally agree with you. Even in my current role, of course, we work here through the nonprofit industry, and it's also very much measured like you were
Yeah,
describing it. You have to have a set schedule. You have a specific metrics that you have to deliver at the end of the week, at the end of the month, at the end of the year, goals and all that performance, and also being monitored when it comes to
yeah,
certain jobs. So unlike some of those myths that, hey, I want to work from home. Why? I don't know. It's just I just want to work from home. I don't want to have to pay for childcare. Perhaps in 2026, that's not the case anymore. It's not necessarily the current environment or the expectation for some companies, for some accounts.
yeah,
There are some of those projects are still out there, but you have to be very intentional when you're looking for those opportunities, and that's why we're here to make sure that we deliver to you some clarity on what are some of those opportunities that are listed or that are out there, and you make a better choice, military spouse, veteran, those who are looking to work for remote. um, Len, in regards to teleperformance, how should applicants approach the job postings? So I share a lot of your jobs. In fact, I share a few jobs from this past week, and then also from your sister company. And so I share those into our community. But how should, as an applicant, approach the job postings? What do I need to know in order for me to make it to your inbox for a referral?
yeah. And usually, though, a lot of things are automated these days. So when I answer this question about the job posting, so when you look at a posting, I want you to break it down into three parts. Okay, what the company needs, you know, what the company wants, and what the company would love but can live without. Okay. Now, most job listing they mix these three together. So your job is to separate them. So I'll break it down a little bit more. The minimum qualifications are what you must have. Okay. Minimum qualifications are the employers. They're TP's baseline requirements. And if you don't meet these, your application likely won't move forward unless you come close and you can clearly show the ability to learn fast or have related experience that covers the gap. All right. And how to read these is that you treat these as non-negotiables, I should say, unless you're only slightly below the requirement and can demonstrate competence in another way. And for example, so if they require a high school diploma, you must have one. If they require Windows 10, you must meet that exact technical requirement. And if they require wired internet, you can't substitute with Wi-Fi. So the rule of thumb, Laura, is that if you meet about 70 to 80% of the minimum qualification and the missing part is trainable, you can still apply. I would. Now, the preferred qualification is what makes you stand out, right? Now, these are the nice to have skills. They're not deal breakers, they're just nice to have. And companies use preferred qualifications to describe the ideal candidate, not the required one. And so, how do you read this? You think of these as bonus points, okay, not barriers. And if you have even a few of them, highlight them. They can push you above the other applicants. And if you don't, it's totally fine. It's totally fine. You're still fully eligible if you meet the minimum requirements. Now, the rule of thumb here is that if you meet the minimum requirements, or the minimum qualifications, I should say, but none of the preferred ones, you should still apply. Preferred qualifications only help, they don't disqualify. Now, deciding whether to apply, it can be tricky sometimes, but my rule of thumb is that just use this simple three-step filter basically. Is that number one, do I meet the minimum requirements? And if you do, number two, can I realistically perform the job duties? So you ask yourself, Laura, have I done something similar? Can I learn this quickly?
Yes.
Do I understand what the day to day is like? And Laura, if the answer is yes, you're still a strong candidate. So the third thing is that, am I excited? Are you excited, Laura, about at least 70% of the role? So you don't need to love everything, okay?
So loving,
But you should
so
if you're
loving
applying to the
being
position,
part
okay?
of our work is not just the extra or the secret sauce only. We
It's not.
must
It's not.
love as well
Exactly.
the logistics of the role, the logistics of the environment, what you're gonna do, and then as I like to always describe it in our remote work sessions that we do, which you've been a great supporter of, it's you gotta know with your customer what the company does. You got to know where how does this align with your lifestyle. Maybe it's not the right fit right now, but it will be in 6 months, it will be next year, it will be when our
Exactly.
kids grow
Yeah.
up and you have the full day and you're like, what do I do with my whole day, right? So it is important that you really align yourself to the right remote opportunity, and that's precisely why we are bringing you in the experts to these discussions, so that each entity, each organization can share with you a little bit more about their hiring process, what they recommend, what works for their culture, their environment, so that you, the applicant, can set yourself up for success. Now, Len, let's talk about the application approach and the options. The what the hiring process looks like. So I identified one of your roles. Laura shared it in the community, and we're like, "Oh, that's mine." I applied. What should I expect? What is the application process looks like from your perspective? The job offer, the pre-screening, the interview, all those good things that we want to know.
Yeah. So we'll try to keep this relatively
Sure.
slow as well. Or but the application process itself can use it's about a 7 to 10 step process, okay, but it depends on the client, the line of business, on how it works. But the first thing is the application submission, right? This is You start by applying through Teleperformance career page, and often after interacting with the automated recruiting assistant, um, you'll be prompted to create your profile, and by creating your profile you can track the status of your application, okay. Now, the stuck point, the common stuck point with this is that missing documents or incomplete application slows down the process.
Okay.
So one thing I want to add, at least with Teleperformance, is that the same email address you use to apply is the same email address you use throughout the entire process. Okay. And then the second is the pre-screening and initial contact. So after applying, you may receive um, a pre-screening text message, system checks, emails, an assessment, and depending on the role, well, the assessment does depend on the role, and I can't legally talk about what type of assessment they are. But assessments are anything from typing to language to behavior type of assessments. Okay, it's nothing that any military spouse can handle. All right, um, and then you have the online assessment. I just mentioned that. They may be diagnostic checks as well, and some may be typing simulations or simulations in general. And these tests screen whether you can function in a remote call center environment. Okay, and what I see that the stuck point with this with some of the applicants is that failing the system diagnostic test,
Okay.
whether it's their internet connection being too slow, or whether it's the background noise is unclear. And then the second, what we see a lot is the failing of the typing test and the assessment. And if that happens, then you can reapply in 30 days. Okay. And then it's the recruiter interview, whether it's a phone interview or a virtual interview. And again, it depends on the line of business and the client. But if your application assessment looks good, the recruiter will schedule a short interview to confirm qualifications and the job fit. Um, and the common stuck point here, Laura, is that candidates may not be prepared for the scenario-based questions. Okay, and again, it's poor audio during remote interviews that usually slow that process down. Connections drop for some reason. A lot of the candidates may use the Wi-Fi for the interview until we let them know that they need a Ethernet connection to work. Okay, and then we have the offer letter. So once you get past the interview and we want to extend the offer to you, um, they'll extend the offer to you. They'll talk about the pay and the schedule and the benefit information, and then the next step for onboarding the equipment. Okay, and again, there's stuck points in every phase, and the stuck point here is that missing offer letters due to spam filters. Right, we send the offer letter out, the applicant doesn't receive it because it goes to their junk mail or their spam. Again, you utilize the correct email address and ensure that we're not listed as in your junk in your junk file.
Yeah.
And then I think the last thing I'm going to mention is once you're hired, you do the onboarding is the shipment of the equipment. Okay, the if the company itself is providing the equipment, you're going to get the tower, the monitor, the keyboard, the mouse, and the shipping or the stuck point here is the shipping delays, incorrect address, or missing components. And the last thing I'm going to touch on is the training and nest period. That's after you've already received your equipment and you're ready to start the training. The training may be on camera, and it may include things like call handling practice using the internal tools that the company have and company policies. All right. And the stuck point here is just the failing training and assessments. And a lot of times we find out is the attendance. So to make it simple, is just apply online 1, complete pre-screening 2, take the assessment 3, interview 4, the background check is 5, onboarding is 6, and training and equipment is number 7, and then you will become part of the TP family.
Wonderful. Sounds like I'm ready for you because I have amazing internet most of the time. I live in rural Oregon. So if you are in a rural area or you struggle with, look at your options before you start searching for remote work. So I'm
Yes.
so excited that you get to tell us this really upfront so that we don't go through the process of applying, spending quality time into an application that we know perhaps may halfway through the process may get hindered or it will be challenged because of internet. I know I struggled quite a bit when I first relocated here from San Diego to Eastern Oregon. Our internet here for family or residential areas is very light. It's only like 6 and 6, and so that's nothing for these type of productions. I had to upgrade to a business plan. No, I had to upgrade if I wanted to bring you these incredible job opportunities and live webinars, but that was my investment into the process. Not everyone can do that. Look into what you have as a military spouse right now when you are relocating to new communities, new places where you have all the essentials that you need, such as great internet, a great schedule, the commitment, your clarity is a little bit better. Then Teleperformance has all the rest of it because I heard from Lens
Yes.
that they give you all the equipment, so you don't have to reinvest. You just have to be very truthfully intentional to commit for your work assignment and perform because it is teleperformance. So that's amazing. I love that. Now I do want to touch a little bit more on you were mentioning a little bit on the 7-step process, the interviewing, which is one of the things that we all sometimes I feel very challenged. And so describe to
Mm.
us from your experience, what have you heard is the interview process? Is it on video? Is it by phone call first? Zoom? Describe it to us once again.
Well, again, the interview process it differs. It differs on the line of business and the client.
Okay.
Majority of our remote positions, the interview is done remotely. Okay, it may be done over Zoom, which is usually our preferred platform. And if it's a professional position as well, it still may be conducted over a virtual interview. Um, we we have a large footprint, a large remote footprint, so a lot of our positions are done remotely, and a lot of our interviews are done virtually. Now, when we talk about teleperformance and we talk about the hiring, what I didn't mention is that a lot of our roles are remote, and they're remote on the agent level, working in the call center, our professional level, um, and also our agent and our professional and our executive level. So we offer remote in all 3 areas.
Got it. This is beautiful. We're going to pivot in a little bit for questions, but I just want to acknowledge this questions right here from our community here for you, Len. Being part of something great, being recognized, and then of course having a good sense of belonging is super important in our military community. And so, how does a teleperformance environment or you set up the environment? Because if we're remote, it can be a little isolated, but uh, you know. Um, kind of how does teleperformance make sure that the employees feel supported and recognized along the way? Because if I'm alone in the middle of nowhere conducting this very disciplined schedule, how am I going to get sort of my good, hey, you're doing a great job?
Well, no, that's a good question because that is one of the areas, at least during the when it comes to remote work, that a lot of the employees have an issue with. Um, how do they stay connected, right? And I'm going to touch on that. Teleperformance has a great environment, and we believe it's in our DNA. And I tell people all the time is that, you know, we focus on transparency, and Teleperformance provide an environment to fail because you learn from failing. Correct. Now, to stay connected, we use things like teams. There's daily and weekly meetings. There employee resource group, and one of them is the TP Verg, which I'm the chair of. We have TP Women, we have TP Asian, TP Black, we have we TP Men. There's a lot of employee resource groups that we have to ensure that the candidate is always or the employee is always connected within the company. But I, when we talk about the recognition and support, so at Teleperformance, I mean, we truly knows how to, we truly know how to celebrate people. I can honestly say that, and we do this through our monthly awards, our global recognition events that we have, and what we just started is our peer shout outs, which people seem to like, right? And then we also have leadership spotlights, and it goes beyond recognition though, Laura, because employees are supported again, with our wellness resources, I mentioned our mentorship opportunities that we have, our mental health initiatives, which we're proud of, and depending on the role, the flexible work options that help them thrive inside and outside of the workplace. Spending 27 years in the military, I will say this company is fantastic when it comes to taking care of its employees and providing opportunities for growth, both personally and professionally.
I love it. Thank you. I mean, it is a process, of course, that very disciplined. So I love that because you have a very structured way of how you pre-screen candidates to bring them aboard. But once you're in, you're part of something exceptional
Yes.
that is global and has room for growth. And so I just want to put that out there for some of you military spouse communities or members, transitioning. Yes, you leave the military, but now you still have to be employed. So find some employment, find opportunities that are recognized globally that have that opportunity for growth. It's not always has to be customer service. Maybe that's something that
Yeah.
right now fits your current military connection and lifestyle. And then as you are ready to transition, you are internal and you can see other opportunities. So the possibilities are endless. I always just like to encourage people, Len, to look for the company culture, look for the opportunities in general for the growth, and besides that one job, just in case. I do have another question here for you. And I want to ask you because we do have, and actually I'm looking at a couple of them here on Facebook, Googlers, and we have other members that have spent time on upskilling opportunities, cybersecurity, all kinds of great opportunities out there that we offer. So upskilling opportunities for many clients is the pathway to get into a job. So, and I have this great question here from someone: how does this upskilling option that I get to invest right now is going to present itself at Teleperformance? Is that going to be a knowledge? What kind of opportunities would I see myself transitioning into?
Yeah, that's a good question, Laura. And there's a lot of opportunity. But what I want to touch on first of all is that when you go and you read about Teleperformance, you're going to read about the genesis of Teleperformance. It being founded in 1978 in Paris, France, and how we started as a call center, and that's what we are. But we have evolved to much more. And now, when you go to the website, you're going to hear a lot about AI, digital services. And so we are a leader in that as well. Now, when you transform an organization from here to there has to be a learning curve, and there has to be the opportunities for the employees to learn and to reinvest back into their educational benefits, right? So, Teleperformance here at TP, we offer a rich ecosystem of learning opportunities, okay? From our TP University to our leadership academies that we have, our certification programs, um, and more importantly, we just started is our quick micro learning sessions. So employees have endless ways to grow. So whether they want to sharpen their communication skills, Laura, master digital tools, or prepare for leadership role, there is definitely a clear path here at Teleperformance.
I love it. You had me at Teleperformance University. You had me at hello. That's it. That's given for me. I've had uh jobs, side gigs where I get paid literally, or I have overlooked, whatever other distractions are out there because of the investment the company
Right.
does in your growth, because that tells me
Yep.
that in the future there's so many opportunities once I'm a little bit more mature, maybe my schedule line up a little bit and I have more commission,
Yeah.
opportunities to commit. And so you invested into my growth. I That's priceless. So thank you so much for sharing that. Where do I apply? Please tell me. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead now and pause because we want to be mindful of our time, and make sure that I take time to send shout outs, but also give you a chance to also give us a little bit more of what Teleperformance has in the near future. So let's take some time right now to send some shout out to some people in our community, in the neighborhood, as well as other people that are watching from Facebook. Who thank you so much for posting comments. So on and then of course, if you still have questions, please let us know, put it in the comments. I'm going to acknowledge those, and if we don't get to those right now, because we really want to know all about remote work in 2026 with Len, then we want to make sure that you get your response very soon. Let me first address this one really question from a member in a comment on LinkedIn who says, with location freedom, can you work from anywhere in the United States as long as there is a policy, internet connection, such as like a hotel, um, those kind of things? Address that for us, please. Is that such thing? Can I just plug into any Ethernet connection anywhere I go? If I'm
Well, so
sorry.
that's one of the things we hear. That's one of the things you hear often. And I thought I saw the comment. He asked anywhere in the United States. So when you go to the Teleperformance website and you apply for that position and you open up that job description, you're going to see even though it's a remote job, you're going to see the states that we can hire in. Out of the 50 states, I don't know off the top of my head, but I believe it's like six that we're not currently hiring out of. Okay, so those are the states that we stay away from. Now, the part about plugging it in anywhere, we also use VPNs, right? There's firewalls. Um, so remote work, remote work means you can work remotely anywhere, okay? But we can't employ you from certain states within the United States. Now, the last thing I like to say, I like to tell people, I hear this a lot, is that so if I'm hired under a requisition that says remote, but in the state of Arkansas, can I go to New York and work? Well, there is a slight difference between remote and work at home. Work at home is usually you're tethered to that specific state or city, right? Or within a 50-mile radius. And remote usually means you can work anywhere within the continental United States. Okay, so that's the difference.
Thank you so much for clarifying that for us. So, in other words, it all depends on the job that you apply for. So, but the most
Yes,
of
it does.
for the abundance of customer agent and customer care roles that are very traditional for teleperformance, most likely you just have to stay home and work from home. That is the convenience, and then you have a great Wi-Fi. I mean, not Wi-Fi. I'm sorry. Have a great internet in order for you to perform that. But that's not to say that you are not within a reasonable amount of time after you've been in the company. You cannot find some of those remote opportunities that allows you to travel everywhere, like Len travels everywhere, but he has really high points that he needs to cover, and so he's traveling with the internet cable, but it's also to make sure that he has great performances as well. Let's go to shout outs really quick right now, just to make sure that we're mindful of time. Michelle, thank you so much for watching on LinkedIn. Thank you, Rissy. Thank you, Chris, for supporting. Thank you so much also to Missy for supporting as well. And then we have some other great colleagues that are supporting on Facebook. Let me go really quick to the Facebook page so that we can support those individuals as well and send some really great shout outs. Thank you, Veronica. Thank you, another Chris. Thank you, Elk. Thank you, Elkie. Thank you so much for supporting that our this webinar as well. And then we have a lot of great also back on LinkedIn in a different profile. We have some great opportunity for great guests to react, who have acknowledged this great webinar and supported, and of course are watching and will watch this. So thank you so much for Nassim. Thank you for Lakeisha. Thank you so much for supporting Katie, Natasha. Natasha, let's get you that remote job from Teleperformance. Stephanie, Kelly, Anthony. Thank you, Amber, Jenny, Ellen, Veronica, Dali, Sierra, Danielle, and I think I'm going to stop there then because I want to ask you a couple of more questions. But we have a lot of great people throughout LinkedIn, as well as we have Facebook, and we have our digital community. So, and by the way, Teleperformance is in our digital platform in our neighborhood, and we have a partner profile in there. And like I said, I share a lot of the job leads all the time. But right now, we want to take a couple of moments to put Len back on the spot and ask him from this very intense, very rich, very content driven, and of course, very intentional discussion that we have done today about remote work and how it's done through Teleperformance in 2026. What would you say is our call to action for our audience, for people that will watch this? What will be those next steps that you should encourage them to do right after this session is over, that we can go and find a great remote opportunity with Teleperformance?
Yeah, that's a good answer, Lauren. I think it causes me to stop and think, something that's profound, I guess. But I would say choose one job that you're interested in, and take a concrete action today towards it. Not tomorrow, not when things settle, but right now. So I think here's how to make that step small, simple, and powerful for you. Is that number one, you pick one remote friendly role that fits your skills or goals. Okay. And number two, you do one intentional action that moves you forward, like update one bullet on your resume or draft a star story for interviews. And then you keep it bite sized, small steps, big intentions, take actions, and build tomorrow's confidence. So, in one line, I would just simply say pick one role, take one action, um, build real momentum starting today.
Awesome. I love that. And then those of you who are still with us watching or watch this replay, there is a Teleperformance one pager. You can screenshot or take a still picture. But also, the most important thing is there's the QR code that you can take an opportunity to save it into your messages and then go and explore further about Teleperformance. I also would like to share with you, just because I am very visual and I like to be able to walk you through the right location and to make sure that you make it where you need to go. I'm going to share with you what the website looks like so that you can make it to the right place. Make sure that when you are here, it is tp.com. So make sure that you make it to the right place. And then when you're here, you look for where it says career opportunities, and then there's several different things. But the first one that I really, really would love for you to go is choose values and values and philosophy. Explore first why you need to choose companies like Teleperformance, why you need to work with great people like Len, and then of course why do you need to what are some of those action items, call to action, things that you need to do to to help yourself a little bit better, to make yourself a much better candidate into remote work opportunities in 2026. The landscape has changed a little bit over the last 2 years. This is 2026. It looks very intentional. It looks very structured, and so those who have a little bit more in approach in getting themselves ready, upskill, and perform are very much so not challenged as much. And so the goal for these webinars is to really give you the opportunity to learn how to set yourself up for success, but also present you with great people like Len, so that you can continue to follow up. And if remote work is in the it's in the outlook for you in the next PCS season, guess what? The kids are going to go to school full time in the fall, and you can start looking for it. But now you know that Teleperformance is a great place for you, perhaps. And so look for Len on LinkedIn. Len, how can we get a hold of you? What's the best way to reach you since you are traveling everywhere? How do we tackle you and then say, hey, here is what I'm thinking about Teleperformance?
The best way to reach me is at leonard.price@teleperformance.com or military hiring at teleperformance.com. I answer all those emails. So I challenge you to email me with the position that you apply to, and we'll definitely give you the white glove treatment.
Awesome. Thank you. And so don't forget, thank you so much. We'll be here next Wednesday with another great facilitator and co host. Thank you so much for joining us today. Len, thank you very much for your time today. Have a great spring break in the next couple of weeks or so. And for those of you who are watching, thank you so much for tuning in. Pay it forward. Don't keep it to yourself. If you know of a military spouse who's looking for work, they have the right approach at the moment, the right location, all the states where Teleperformance hires. Please share this opportunity, because we want to make sure that we reach as many individuals as possible and land them into remote careers from home. So thank you so much for watching today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.